Welcome back, everyone, to our result management system application. We'll continue from the next video, from the previous video, which is I wanted to make all of this link usable. And so, in order to do that, for each part you are creating, you have to add a name. And what does that mean? So, for my home.urls, the part I create, I have to add a name, and this name is what would help us use this link successfully. And so for the name, I'm going to give it as index and save. Remember, always save. For my result, go to urls.py. I'll give this a name equal, let's say, result. And for my course, I'm going to give it a name called course. For the student, the same thing. Let's say students is a string. And that's just it. Oh yeah, the next thing I also want to do is just to add another variable called app name. And what this is just, calling the name of the application in the urls.py. And so student, this is my student.url, so I'll do the same thing for my result.urls. So just result, and you see why this is important shortly. And for whom, the same thing, out home. So just the name of the application. Now when I'm done with that, I'll go to my Jinja template, or my HTML template rather, and I would go to the template folder. Now remember that link is in our nav bar. Now inside this particular address, where do you want to go? I'll create a URL tag. And what is it going to take? For the home, I want it to, if I click on this home link, it should go to the redirected to the home application. And so I'm just going to call the name of the application home, then hyphen, and the name of that my part, which is what? Index, this index here. So I'll say index, save it. For student, I'll create a URL tag, the name of the application, that's student, then hyphen, that's here. But what do we name our part? Student. So student hyphen student. Again, you can do things that will not make you confused. For the courses, I'll definitely do the same thing. URL, I'll say, okay, so my courses is in my result application. So result hyphen, I think the name of my part in for the course is course, and for result is result. So I'm just going to copy this because I'm lazy, and just paste and call result hyphen, then result, save. Now once I now go back to my browser, always refresh. It didn't come up with any bug or any error. Go to home, you can see my landing page, you can see this is now dynamic. It's more interactive now. So the next thing we'll be doing is now to be creating our models. But before we create our models, that's our database, we'll do a migration. So for every Every time you create a new Django project, you always do a migration. And that's because in your terminal it's going to actually tell you that you have to do a migration. So um, things like so you can see you have 18 unapplied migration. Your project may not work until you've done the migrations for apps, admin, authentication, content type, and session. So you need to always do a migration. So the first thing I'm going to do is to say python manage.py make migrations. Hopefully it doesn't show me any error. Okay, no changes detected. Then python manage.py migrate, and some bunch of stuff is just going to come up for GitHub, doing a lot of migrations, permissions, and when I'm done with that, I can then um, create my databases. Now, if you go to my database now, you'll be able to see those. You can see that all of these tables were created. And so now I can actually create my my result table, my student table, as well as my result table. And so I'll go to, let me see. Let's say I want to create my student table. Now, what's the information in my student? The information in my student table is the student name and admission number. Let me go to my, okay, so let's go here. My student table. So it's just my admission, first name, last name. My profile is the roll number, student name, and some other information. And my course is, course code and name. So now I'm just going to create that. Now, usually if you want to create any database, or you want to populate your database with table, it's class based. So you say class and give it a name. I'll just say student. It will take an argument models.model, and I can now say admission number, and I'll give it the way I will have to set a data type for it, and the models dot model helps us to create data type. So what's my data type? Models dot character field, or like in SQL, varchar, and you have to give it a length the way you give it a length in SQL. So I would say my admission number should not take more than, let's say, let me say 20 characters. So I'll do the same thing for my first name. Let's say 40 characters. My last name, 40 characters. So I'll just change this variable to last name, first name. Or you can say surname if you want. Let's say my surname. Again, if you want, but I'll just say last name. And yes, that will be it. For my profile, I'll do the same thing. My profile, if you look at my profile, right, we have a foreign key there. Let's go to my profile. We have a foreign key there called student, and the foreign key is related to the admission number here. So I'll also tell Django that I have a foreign key from this place, And so I would say student is models dot foreign key. And what table am I looking at? I'm looking at the student table. What do I want to do? How do I want to affect this particular, how do I want my table to behave? Oh, so it is student profile. The student profile. How do I want my table to behave? For this student profile, anytime I delete maybe an admission number, for instance, usually the rest of the information is not supposed to be there. So I want to tell you that anytime I delete an information in my student table, remove that information from profile. So in order for me to do that, I'll say on delete. So if I delete this table, an information in this table, what do I do? Models.cascade. So do the same thing. Tell my student profile that, well, delete whatever information that belongs here that is related in this particular place. And so we said row underscore number. If you look at our roll number here, is integer. 1 to 30 is integer. Our gender, our age is integer. Our gender is variable character, in Django's case, char field, and our class is also variable character. So I'm going to say row number. Roll number, gender, char field, and the highest character for female is female, which is 6. Now for my age is integer, right? Roll number is, sorry, for my age is also integer. So my roll number is integer as well. So I'm going to use positive. There's a field called positive integer field. So it will only give positive number. And default, the default, let it be 1, because in our roll number we started from 1. You look at it. Yeah, so let it be 1 by default. And so our age, we can say 1, 2 as well. It can be less than 1, but for secondary schools or high school, we can just put 10 or 9, I don't know. So I'm going to do the same thing for my age. Let me just put default of 1. Then my class, so I can just say classroom, this. Now I can actually create a classroom table as well. Pretty interesting, and I'll make it a foreign key here. Yeah, that's it. So if I want to do any display now, I have to migrate. So it's a rule of thumb that every time you create a model, you have to do a migration, and you have to be deliberate about the name of your columns. These are like the name of your column: admission number, first name, last name. You have to be deliberate, and you have to tell it exactly what to do, like the way you do in SQL. I don't want it to be more than 6 characters. Gender, I don't want it more than 6 characters. Foreign key, what do you want to do? You refer it to the student table. On delete, anytime I delete this guy, what should happen? Model.cascade, cascade it down to the profile. Remove that information. My roll number, I want it the only positive integer field. So what it means, positive integer. So positive integer is 0, 1, like that. So it shouldn't take any negative value. The 8 too also should not take any negative value. And so what I can now do is to say Python manage.py make migrations. Then I'm going to migrate. So it's going to tell me that I've created my model student, create model student profile. Then I'm going to migrate. So it has migrated. Now I can now go to my database, and you can see that our student uh, table has been created with ID. Let's see, admission number, first name, last name, student profile, ID, roll number, gender, age, classroom, and you can see this guy here, this key. It's telling you that this is a foreign key. It's a key here. So a foreign key. So you can see ABC. This is hash. I imagine number, gender, and we also have an ID. Now this ID is our primary key. It automatically creates a primary key for you, and if you just hover around, you see foreign key. So we don't need to add like the way we do it. We actually create um, primary keys in SQL. Django automatically create a primary key for you, and which is the cute thing about it. So Django has like an interface for our database. Um, manage, I'm going to run my server just to show you what the interface is. So if you go to your landing page URL /admin, it's going to take you to like an interactive interface, a web-based interface. Of course, you need a login access. If I just log in now, it's nothing is going to show. It come up with, okay, enter the correct username and password. Now I've not created any username yet, and for me to create a user, since I'm the one doing the project, it assumed that I'm like the admin. So I'll just say create super user. So like create admin user access, the one that has access to um all the information in the database. So username, I'll put admin, email address, admin@admin.com. Again, you can use any email address. Password, I'm going to enter my password, enter another password. It's too short. Well, I don't care. But try to enter a long password, especially when you are trying to deploy. Now, if I do the same, manage.py run server, and I go back to my application, like I said, always refresh anytime you run your server, or your server anytime your server refreshes, always refresh. Now what I can see here, the site admin, authentication, groups, and user. If I go to my user, you can see the username I created. It's already there. I'm a staff. If I click inside it, you can see the kind of access I have: active, staff, and super user status. And so now our models, you've not actually seen our models here. And that's because I've not told Django yet that display my models. In order for me to do that, I will just go to, so we created our student profile tables. I'll go to my admin, import the models from, I can say from student.model or from .model. Import student from our student profile. Now I'm going to say admin.site.register. So register this guy. What am I registering? I'm registering student profile and student. And when I save, I now go back to my admin interface. If I refresh, you can see my student and my student profile. And this just tells you that these belong to my student database. So this is two tables in one database. And if I go inside You can see there's nothing. If I go to add student, I'll enter an admission number, but I don't want to, I actually want to import. Now remember we created our we added a library called import export. Now, but the library is actually an application on its own. But I've not actually told Django that I've done this, even though I've installed it within my virtual environment. I've not told Django. Now, for me to do that, like I said, it's an application. I have to go to my settings and tell it. I did I installed an application called import underscore export, and I'm just going to save. So for me to use it, I have to go to my application.admin file, and I would say from, I think it's Django import export. Sorry, let me just confirm. Yeah, so from import export.admin import export model admin. Now, this is not really going to do anything. Now, this is just understand that it is a third-party application. In order for it to actually do anything, because even if I refresh, I don't think it's going to do anything. Now, well, the reason why I did that is just to import CSV files. I'm too lazy to start typing, so I want to just import. Or I could do a data entry if I so want. I think I should do data entry. Let me just do data entry. Now, if I go to my add student, I say admission is SS1 iPhone, let's say something, and I say Emily, and I say Johnson, enter. You can see it has saved. I've created a new object, but this is not this. It's saying student object, and we don't want it to be student object. We want it to at least show some information here, like admission number, like, so you'll be able to identify it visually. In order for me to do that, the reason why this didn't show is because I also need to tell the Django models that this is what I want to do. I'll go to my student models.py. I'll create a function called underscore string underscore, and it's going to inherit the Django, this student class, and I'll now return F. That's it's another way of printing. I will now say self dot maybe admission number. I can say space self dot first name space then hyphen self dot last name. And when I'm done, I would save it. When I go back and refresh my page, you can see it has make it more human readable. So anything I do here, let's just say I can just, between admission and first name last name, I'll put a hyphen. And when I go back, refresh, you can see a hyphen there. And if I go to my database, I go back to my student table, you can see I've actually entered an information, and it has given it an ID of 1 automatically. Oh, Django makes people really lazy. So yeah. Now, if I want to create my student profile, again, my student profile has a foreign key, all student. that is a primary that belongs to the student uh, table. So if I go to add, you can see if I click on this drop down, because I've registered something before, I can just click on it. Row number 1 as default, gender I will say female. Again, I can make this a drop down. Classroom, I'll say SS2, for instance. Just save. Still, it's still showing me student object, a student profile object 1. I have to just go to my models. Well, I'm going to copy this guy and just shift it here. So it will be, let's say, student. I can see row underscore number. I would say gender. Let's just say this is just the 3 I want to display in my back end. And when I refresh, you can see the let me remove this student. That's the foreign key. I'll just remove it and just display. So it will just display the row number and the gender. Now for me to make this more human readable, I can go to my admin and add a class. I would say class, I would say student, and let's say admin. It's going to take an argument admin, that's this admin here, dot model admin. And what I just want a list display. A list display of everything that is in my I can add the same way I add in my models. I can also add that's this particular function. I can add all of these things here. So, but all I just need to call is just the name of the column. First name, last underscore name, and save. It's not going to do anything, but I have to tell Django that student admin. Save it. By the time I go to, I will do the same thing for student profile. I'll say student profile. I would say student age, gender, classroom. I have to register it here. I would say student profile admin and save. And once I go back to my admin page and just refresh, you'd see that this will become human readable. You can see student, age, and you can see it's more in a tabular form. If I go to student, the same thing. Admission number, first name, last, which is pretty cool, frankly. Anyways, with this, we'll come to the end of this particular session, and in the next video, we are going to continue. We might now start displaying what we've added to our database, which is here, what we've added to our database in our front end, that is our HTML file. Thank you very much. I hope this benefits you guys. Have a wonderful day. See you in the next video.